Welcome to the International Institute of Genealogical Studies at genealogicalstudies.com. This is the methodology virtual meeting, and we have virtual meetings for our students, but we also like to share them with other people who may be interested in what we're doing at the school or what is in our courses. And so if you're watching the recording, welcome, and I hope that I give you some tips and some inspiration and share what we're doing at the Institute. So this virtual meeting is on methodology. And we have a methodology certificate program, which is for all, it's the basis for all of our 40 course certificate programs. And it's really the basics for everybody, that this is the methodology that everybody, the standards, the guidelines, the tips, all of those things that we as researchers should be following. And so in our methodology courses, we have 3 levels, the basic level, and there are 4 courses, compulsory courses for each level, and then a final one. So for the basic, it's methodology 1 and 2, using the internet, skills, transcribing, abstracting, and extracting. And then after we do those 4, we have an overview called Analysis and Skills Mentoring and Part 1 for Basic. And in the intermediate level, it's Methodology 3, 4, and 5, and then a Latin course for genealogists. You're not going to learn how to speak Latin and know everything, but it's going to help you with records that you may come across that contain Latin. And so you need to know the basics of Latin in order to help you with those records. And then we'll have Analysis and Skills Mentoring Part 2. And then for the advanced level, it's methodology 6, and then a paleography, which is not just handwriting, it's reading and understanding historical documents. So reading and understanding the handwriting is one aspect, but there's a lot of other aspects to understanding what is this document about? Why was it created? How was it created? What the heck is all of those measurements and weights and things, terminology that they're using in these older documents? We need to understand that. And so the paleography course is one that covers that. Then we have one on genealogy and copyright guidelines, and one on genetics and medical history, medical family history, because that's why some people are doing their family history. And then we have Analysis and Skills Mentoring Part 3. And so the Analysis and Skills Mentoring, it's an overview of each section just to help us to see if you're understanding the concepts, and it is to help you, to give feedback to you, to give you practice, to put into practice the things that you're learning. And so we have those that and there's no exam on those ones, so but there is assignments that give you points for the course. Okay, so the methodology courses, as I said, there's 4 for each level. And then there is the analysis and skills mentoring courses, and 3 of those. And there's also some textbooks that are compulsory, the genealogy standards and the mastering genealogical proof. And also we advise, it's not compulsory, but it is recommended, the evidence explained by Elizabeth Shown Mills, which is on creating citations for just about anything that you could think of. And those are the textbooks that we use along with our course material. Okay, so the one thing that I wanted to kind of focus on tonight is the skill building courses that we have. And so in the methodology, we have skills, transcribing, abstracting, and extracting course. And it's in a basic level because really we need to know how to do that for the documents that we are finding. We need to know how to transcribe them, how to abstract the details out of it, or even extract out of things like censuses, and to pull land documents that you're pulling out an exact quote. And so in the transcribing, abstracting, and extracting course, we talk about transcription, the methods. We talk a lot about citations. We show you how to, because when you do a transcription, you want it to look exactly as closely to the original document as you can, except it's typed and it's not in handwriting, in cursive handwriting, so that you don't have to keep figuring out what it is every time. And so how do you do that using a word processing software like Microsoft Word or Google Docs, Open Office? There's several of them, but a lot of them, they have the same toolbar, and you need to know how to be able to do that in your document, and how to be able to use those features. Auto correction, you want to turn that off, because along with spell check, because spelling didn't really count in old documents, and sometimes the same document can have something spelled 3 or 4 different ways, and they know what they meant, and you just have to figure it out. A lot of times it's phonetically correct. It's just how it sounds, and if you sound out the word, you can figure out what it is. But you want to turn off the autocorrect and the auto spell check and the auto cap, where it capitalizes at the beginning of every sentence. You want to be able to turn that off, because you don't want it to correct it for you. You want to have it exactly as it is. And how do you do superscript and subscript? And the use of tables. And I love using tables. And a lot of documents were on forms that look like tables. And so how do you duplicate that in your word processing software? And so that's part of the course. Then we go into abstracts and extracts, and we have some exercises for you to do, and some forms, because sometimes you don't need to make all those tables. If there's a form, you just fill out the form, like when you're doing census records. If the form is already there and the columns are the same, all you have to do is fill in the information. So forms, I like forms, because then it's a lot easier to extract your details from that document. Okay, but I also want to highlight tonight 3 other skill building courses that we have. Now, the transcribing, abstracting, and extracting course is in the methodology certificate. These 3, and they are breaking down brick walls, evidence analysis and evaluation using case studies, and the nuts and bolts of reporting research. These 3 courses are in the professional development certificate, but you don't have to be taking that certificate in order to add these courses as an elective to your other certificate program. And they are really, really good courses to help you to work through your research. And again, there's the same 3 compulsory textbooks for these courses, and you want to have these in your library. And you can order the big heavy books, hardcover books or softcover, but you also can order the Kindle version, or something that you can just have on your device. You don't have to. It's cheaper to do it that way, but I like the big book that you can open and it's on your shelf or beside you when you're working. But it's your choice. Okay, so the Breaking Down Brick Walls course is for when you come to a brick wall. What do we mean by a brick wall? A brick wall is like, okay, this is as far as I go, and it's like I'm hitting a wall. I just can't get past. I can't find this ancestor's maiden name. I can't find where she was from. I'm hitting a brick wall. I have an ancestor and I don't know who his parents were. He shows up, he comes to Canada, he comes to whatever country you're in, and you have all the information once he gets here, but you don't have any information to take you back to his origin. That is what we call a brick wall. And so there's ways to get around that. And this course will help you to work through it step by step, systematically, in order to see where exactly you're hitting that wall. And sometimes by breaking it down into small steps, you will see something that you just glossed over it. You just read over it. You jumped right over it because you didn't stop and examine that part. And so, just from the website, using the topics out of the table of contents, it's going to go over what the basics of methodology researching is, and getting organized, how to get your materials organized, how to define the actual problem that you have, to define it and narrow down your focus to this is the thing that I really need to focus on in order to solve this problem. And then gather all your information. Sometimes it means making a list of name variations, because think about it. If somebody came from Germany or Scotland or France and they have a heavy accent, when they're speaking to an English person, that person doesn't necessarily know how to spell their name. They are just writing down what it sounds like. And if the person can't write it themselves, and a lot of them are signing with an X, they can't write, or even if they do write it, their handwriting is pretty atrocious. And so they just write down what they hear. And so sometimes if you're looking at a surname or even a first name, say it with an accent, say it with a heavy Scottish accent, say it with a German accent, and see if you can figure out phonetically what that surname really was. Other times it is, I have German ancestors, and when they came to Nova Scotia in the 1700s, their names were anglicized. They wrote down, the English scribes wrote down, and it changed. Becker turned into Baker. Other names changed into an English equivalent that is actually kind of nice because it is unique to that county where they're from. And it doesn't really show up in other places with the same spelling, because later on they kept true to the spelling of when they arrived and whenever their immigration was. So making that list of name variations can really help. Sometimes on census records from year to year, or 10 years. So each census record, when they took it, they might have variations in their names, how it was spelled. I have one started with an F and it was in a PH at the beginning of their name in one of the censuses, which I totally wasn't looking for that. And so it will help you every time that you have a name variation in a record, write it down, because that may help you to identify them later. It also may help you to identify when the children of a certain ancestor, sometimes they change the spelling of their name to for example, one family I was working on were French, and their name was Roy, Roi. And when they came to Ontario from Quebec, some of them kept Roy, Roy, but some of them changed it to King, because King is what that French word translated means. And so then you can trace that branch of the family down, knowing that when they moved, that's the time that the name changed. And so making that list of name variations is really going to help you. Get to know the locations of where you're doing your research, find it on a map, check for when the place names changed, and have the maps, and even on the census records the names of places changed. And so make a note that in 1861 it was this, in 1871 it was this, in 1881 it was called this. And make a list of even the location the name changes. Create a research log. That is going to help you to retrace the steps that you took. And if you took a wrong turn, you can go back and find where it was the wrong turn and go in a different direction. You always want to be reviewing, evaluating, and analyzing what you're gathering. And then you really need to write little mini reports. You need to write out what you found, what was in that document, what was not in that document, why you decided to include it or not include it, or why you develop the hypotheses that you did to go and then plan your strategy for the next step. If you have it written down, you don't have to remember that in 4 months when you come back and you're working on it again and you think, well, what was my thinking then? You have it written down. So you want to write those little reports as you go. You want to develop a timeline, and you want to study the fan club. And you're going to track associates and associations. You're going to look at patterns and relationships. How were the people on a city block related? Were they related? Were they workers? Did they work at the same factory? Was it an Italian neighborhood, or something else? And by putting it all together, you may get clues that are going to help you to break that brick wall. And then the last thing in the course is engage others, collaborate, and network. We're not meant to do it all on our own. It's fun to be on that trail, but boy, it sure helps when you have another set of eyes looking at the clues that you have and they see something that you didn't. And so collaborating and networking with other people is really going to help you to break down some of those brick walls. Okay, so this brick wall, breaking down brick walls, is a basic level course, and but it also requires a prerequisite. You want to have finished at least analysis and skills part 1 of methodology before you tackle this one, just to make sure that you have those concepts under your belt. And it is a 7-week course. Okay, the second one of the skill building courses in the professional development certificate is evidence analysis and evaluation. And I think that we skip over this too quickly. We gather the information, we've got the dates, you write it down, you have it there, and then you move on. You don't really dig into it and look at it and evaluate it and analyze it. And this is good for case studies. And case studies make us look. We can become so familiar with our own people and our own area that we don't see things that are different. But if you have to go in a different area, you're really teasing out those details that maybe you don't tease out in your own studies. And so looking at other case studies can help you. This course also focuses on proof statements, proof summaries, and proof arguments. What is the difference? A proof statement is a statement. This is what you believe. These are the people. These are their parents. This is where they lived. It's a statement. Until you have other evidence otherwise, this is what you have found out about this person. A summary is when you've taken several things together, maybe several documents, maybe several people, maybe a family, and you've made a summary together. I've looked at these things, and now this is a summary of what I have researched and what I have come to my conclusion. A proof argument is when you have conflicts and you're going to want to write down why you are going in the direction you are, why one you're not including something, but you're including the other thing instead. If you're asserting that this person, is the daughter of these parents, but you don't have the proof in a document, you have to write an argument. Why do I think that? Well, on her death certificate, it lists that she was born in this place. She's buried beside her daughter. She's, on this other child's certificate, it says this. So you're pulling clues from different places and you're putting it together to make an argument that this is what you believe, what conclusion you have come to based on the evidence that you have. And so this will walk you through. It'll show you why we do case studies, why, and you should do a variety of case studies, not just one type all the time. It also will look at the fan principle and cluster research, looking for people in a certain area and studying that group. And so this is a really good course in helping you to just slow down and step by step analyze all the information. And this again is a 7-week course. Okay, the third one is nuts and bolts of reporting research. And so what do you do with all your research once you've done it? Well, you need to make sure that it has citations for everything, every piece of information, every document you want to have citations. And if you're using the same type of documents, create a template and it'll show you how to make a template so you don't have to invent it all the time, and that it's consistent, that all your census citations are consistent and they're in a certain form, and even have a template. And I know Thomas McKenty, he will say, put it in red or whatever, the parts that you have to fill in so that you know what parts you're filling in and what parts stay the same. It talks about copyright because if you are making a report, you want to make sure that you're not crossing any copyright laws. Researching procedures and location guides. If you're researching in a certain area, you want to know all the resources that are available in that area. You want to know where to look when all of the resources are all in a guide. And that can be as simple as a Word document with all of them in it. And just all of the contacts, all of the websites, all of what the database is on different platforms, whether it's Family Search or Ancestry or Find My Past, where are the databases for that location and for the different kinds of documents. And so it'll show you how to do a location guide. Again, you're going to look at transcribing, abstracting, and extracting. It's going to walk you through steps in planning your research and then how to write a report, different kinds of records that you're going to put on that report, and the essential elements of formal reports. So now if you're writing a report for a client, you want it very professional. It's not just for your notes. You want to have it that you're going to present this formal report of all the research you did for them, and then be able to keep that. This course again talks about proof summaries and case studies and reporting your research. And the last part is on writing scholarly articles and blogs. And we study scholarly articles in AS mentoring courses, but this is, what do you do with your research? How do you take your research and make that scholarly article to share with other people? Or how do you put it together in a blog or a series of blog posts in order to share your research? And so this course, I really enjoyed this course. It really helped to define how to put that together, and it helped me to organize my research and present it in a way that other people would be able to understand it. Again, this is a 7-week course. Okay, so these courses really emphasize on analysis of the evidence. And so this chart you're going to be using over and over and over again. And that's why we emphasize it so much at the basic level and really at every level, that identifying your sources. What is the information contained on it? Is it primary? Is it secondary? Is it undetermined? We don't know where it came from. And then, does it answer our question, or does it give us a clue to somewhere else to look for it, because it indirectly points to a possible solution to that brick wall? We're going to follow the genealogical proof standard, which is reasonably exhaustive search. It's just not 1 or 2 documents. A complete and accurate source citation of your sources, because you want to be able to find them again. You want to tell people where you found it, and so that they can see it for themselves as well. You want to analyze and correlate the collected information. You're going to analyze it and you're going to put it in a systematic way that people can see what it is. You're going to resolve any conflicts that you have. You're not just say, well, I'm not going to use this document because it doesn't agree with the rest of them. If you have a conflict, you have to resolve it because there's a reason behind it. And then you're going to write a soundly reasoned, coherently written conclusion. This is the conclusion that I've come to after doing all of my research. Based on the research I've done, this is my conclusion. Okay, so that is the 3 courses that I'm presenting to you today. Well, 4 actually, including the transcribing one. If you have any problems that you're just not getting it, you're not getting the concept, or you just need help with where to go next, you can purchase a 30-minute block of time with one of our mentors or instructors, any of the instructors that are on staff. You can book time with them to just talk it through. And I just wanted to mention that at the end, when you've done all of your courses to complete your certificate, we're going to graduate. And so we have 2 graduations each year at this time. The summer one is coming up. The summer one is in August, and you need to have all of your coursework for your certificate completed by the 31st of July, so that we can have everything ready for the graduation. And if you're coming close, they will probably be emailing you asking if you are ready to graduate. We will have one again in the winter, which is in January. If you're not quite ready for this one and you want to do other things before you graduate, you can do it in January. If you're not ready, then you can plan that January, I'm going to get all my courses finished in order to graduate. Okay, these are just some links to the different websites that we have. At the actual website for the school, the Institute, is at genealogicalstudies.com. There's a section there to search for courses, search for certificates, what courses are in each certificate, and we have 14 different certificates now. You can go to the genealogy store, and that's where you can buy printed material, our textbooks, even t-shirts. You can buy there. You can buy a gift card. if you have a birthday coming up or something like that, you can say, hey, I would really like if you would contribute towards my continuing education for genealogy, my genealogy certificate, and they can buy a gift card in order to put towards your courses. We have a blog, we have Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and the YouTube channel. And check the YouTube channel because we are putting more and more videos on there. And subscribe, hit like, subscribe. And it helps us to go up the ag algorithms, but watch some of the videos. Look through and see the videos that are on there. Angie tries to put videos that are going to be of use to you on our YouTube channel to share with other people. And then don't forget about Genealogy Wise, which is our genealogy social network, and join the groups that are on there. So I want to thank you for joining me today. This was the methodology virtual meeting, and this was my name is Cheryl Levy, and this has been presented by the International Institute of Genealogical Studies at genealogicalstudies.com. And thank you for joining me, and good luck on your courses. And I hope that you will come and check out these courses that I presented today that are really going to help you to dig a little deeper and see if there's something in there that will help you to break down that brick wall or help you to analyze something that you need to get more details out of, or how to write those research reports, how to organize your research and to present it in a professional way that then you can share with your family or with your clients.